and we just want to discuss, because we're running into so many multiple offer situations. I'm gonna have these four kind of go through, and then so much. Anyway.
Yeah, where are we?
She's on the
Okay,
way.
and Bob is on his way. So, I really wanted to cover the two questions. I'm going to have you each go through, and I'm sure there will be some right shot, but the main focus is when you guys are writing an offer, and you know what's going to end in this market, almost everything's multiple, right? What are the things that you started to do differently in the last couple of years, or things you've thought about a little bit more that you've had to, that you think help you win an offer, or may help you win an offer, even if it didn't? And then after that, we'll kind of go through, when you're on the other side and you're looking at multiple offers, what are things that you're saying, I'm gonna go with this offer instead of that offer? Because we all know it's not just price anymore, right? So what are those things? But so we'll start more on the buyer side. What are you writing offers for your buyers? What's working, what's not working, what do you have to change that?
Right, do we test the mic that everyone hears on Zoom?
It's, no one is on Zoom, but it's picking up because I can see my screen.
Okay, just to make
And
sure.
it says it's on.
So talk towards the mic.
It picks up pretty well.
Yeah, it is pretty good.
Where?
Do you want to start, Rodina, or should we have Christy start?
Christine, you go ahead.
Oh, okay, no problem. I just want to say I had a major thrill today. I just showed a house to the crumble cookie owners.
Better not, that's a point.
They came with all their stuff on and everything, and I was like freaking out. I was so excited because I always get gifts for my clients and everything there, and we eat them too. But they're gonna bring some to the office. Anyways, that was exciting. Okay, for buyers, I feel that it's all a matter of trust that you learn over time to know what they can do, and they know that you have their best intentions in mind. So sometimes you can't do what you want to do until they have that trust factor. Once you have that, then you can tell them all the truths about everything and tell them what they need to do, which normally is to put as much money down as possible so they look really strong. The other terms, you try to make it as tight as possible for the seller, and you try to ask for the least amount of other things for the seller. Earnest money to me is not always majorly important, but it can be to some people. So all these separate item terms are really important to discuss with your clients and make sure that they feel comfortable with everything. Earnest money is normally kept safe, but in this case, it's really hard to keep it safe if the terms are really tight. So you have to just think of everything that you can do along that line to secure an offer. That's one thing. I can go on all day.
I feel like it should be kind of a good, like, those are good notes, and like you're thinking a long time along the lines. And when you say terms, like, are we talking about like, you're talking about dates or like dates?
Yes,
like
everything
terms
in the
of, like the
contract.
option period being like tighter option period, more money. I mean, I feel like there's so many things right now, and I feel like I thought I was doing good with higher options and earnest money and terms, and I am not winning. It's hard. So I want to hear like what, like, are you have, I just showed one of your houses the other day. Do you have multiple offers, and how, like, what one? What one?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I think we need to help each other with. And I really wish everyone was here. So I'm frustrated that people are not.
I'm frustrated that
actually,
more people aren't here too.
I'm actually
And
ticked
Todd
off
is
about
on
it.
the Friday, but we can always.
I just think that we need to help each other. Like, 'cause this was like not for me to give information. This is for me to be like, help.
Let's
Because
help each other.
I've put in offers on, 100,000 over using Homeward, which I know we've been trying to push. Cash, like, did you get cash offers with that one? The one in Chavano Highlands? No, it was right beside of Chavano.
Here?
Here.
Not yet, no.
Okay,
What?
so,
I shouldn't say that yet. Don't tell anyone.
no, I won't. And I might be late. I'm wrong because of the yard, but like, I've shown other ones.
Don't talk about that.
I know.
Well, I guess my thing is like, if I'm up against 29 other offers, and I think I have my people trust me, they are listening to me. There's a house that's been on the market 80 days. It was like 24-hour notice. We went and showed them yesterday, and I put in an offer, and lo and behold, they have another offer coming in, like, you know what I mean? It's like, I feel like my people don't believe me, and I just want to like, do you want to call the other agent and ask them? Like,
Yeah.
I feel like I suck right now.
You can believe in yourself.
Yeah.
And when you do, they're gonna know that you're doing everything more.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I
you
always
explain
show
the
them,
market.
like-
Yeah, I know, it's the hardest it's ever been, and I mean, I've only been here since 2009, but it keeps getting tighter and tighter and tighter in that way. And it's hard. I don't think I don't know if there's an answer. I think it's just, I think you go as quick as you can with an offer, with the showing and everything, try to be really good friends with the other agent.
That's
I
one
mean,
thing, do you
try to have a
guys
good
call the
relationship.
other agent, like,
Absolutely,
sometimes, I mean,
absolutely.
I always do,
Absolutely.
sometimes they answer, sometimes they don't, like, how comfortable are you guys with, like, you know, what does your seller need, like, you know what I mean, like, do y'all say,
I
like,
say that. all the
how
time.
many, do you say how many offers you, I know sometimes people will say how many offers they have, like, is this stuff we're not supposed to say, you know what I mean, like, how,
I think it's okay to ask. They may or may not say it.
Right.
but-
Yeah,
So Michelle, what are you doing?
Okay, so to piggyback on what you said, I think number one is setting the expectations for the buyers.
yes,
Because I don't care how good you are in this market, we are not gonna get every offer we make, and we're not probably gonna get the first one. So I have like 4 points, and I say I make, first of all, make a strong offer, and I'm very real with my clients. And I tell them, in a typical market, my job is to get you the best deal I can on the house. In this market, it's just to get you a house. Like, so don't even think about us getting the best deal on the house. You want it, and I do have a lot of trust with my clients, but that conversation has to be had. And then number two, make sure your financing is solid. I use a local lender. If he says he can get them closed, I know he can get them closed. So I'm writing financing days, 10 days, maybe 15, because I know he's gonna get them. I know he's gonna get them approved. Number three, rapport with the other agent is huge. So as soon as my client might be interested in that house, I text that agent. I'm like, hey, my people are interested. Do you have any offers? Or if I know, I'll like, when are you presenting offers? Because I want to sound like, hey, I know you're gonna have a bunch of offers. And then from that point, that opens the communication, and I continue texting with them. Okay, I'm writing it. Okay, I'm sending it, And then when I do send the offer, I pretty much write a short novel, like in my email. And I'm like, I tell them a little bit about my client, depends on the client, I tell them about my lender. Hey, this is my personal lender I've been using for 15 years. This guy's never left me hanging. And then I tell them how awesome I am to work with. And I do, and I tell
I've
them.
done that too, like,
I do. I'm like, I am so
like,
easy to work with. I've already had the conversation with my clients about appraisals and inspections and what to expect. I can assure you a smooth transaction, because with my buyers, I can. We've already had that conversation, and I'm sure up front that they know. And then last, make sure you write a damn good offer. And then I've got a whole bunch of points about the offer too.
Clean, just write
But-
a clean offer.
Yeah, I have a bunch of things that I do in the offer as well, but I think the communication with the other agent and being sure your buyer is prepared to do what they need to do, but I think the rapport with the other agent is huge. And then I have my lender call. The lender calls and says, hey, these people are solid, we can get this done in 3 weeks. We've already, we can order the appraisal right away. Actually, we've been able to get a bunch of appraisal waivers, which has been
It's starting to happen.
amazing. So.
To piggyback on what she said, when it comes to your relationship with your lender, make sure that lender's available to talk to them on the phone, or is even proactive in calling them or emailing them or texting that other agent. And also that
He's calling right
if
now,
that
actually.
lender has already run your buyer through another deal that fell through, we went through this on Rosalie. Here at Motto, Josh had her completely approved. So on the next offer, I was able, on the bottom of page 2 of third-party finance, when it asks you about approval of financing, I was actually able to mark not subject to approval, meaning they were already approved. Agents don't understand this though. We have to educate most
Yeah.
other agents to the things that we know that are the subtle nuances of our contracts that make us strong. If you know that, you have to explain it to the other agent because they don't get it. So I had Josh get on the phone and say, hey, this lady's already been run through underwriting. I can close it in 2 weeks. Give me the appraisal. I've rushed the appraisal. We've already ordered it. We can literally close in 2 weeks. She's already completely
Not
approved.
just pre-qualified, pre-approved.
Totally already through the
Approved.
writing.
Yeah.
That's a rare instance, but you have to use anything that's real, that's good and unique about your client. 30-day lease backs. If they're asking for it and your client can do it, get all over that, because most people can't do it. Make sure that you're stronger
Yeah, you
than
ask the
someone
seller,
else
do they need a
on
lease
whatever
back?
it is that that seller is needing. But find it and maximize it. Like she said, she writes a small novel. As a listing agent, mostly, I don't have time for small novels. Give me bullet points.
I do that
I
too.
say, here are the highlights of my offer.
Yep.
And I'm bam, 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 we're $12,000 over. We're not asking for any closing costs. We're not asking for a home warranty. We can close in 2 weeks. It's a cash buyer that will owner occupy. I talk about the strengths of my offer because everybody else is sitting there writing those BS heartstrings letters. First of all, they're a violation. Don't write them and don't present them. You'll get turned in. Just don't do it. It's a business deal. In your email to them, talk about the strengths of your business deal. Here are the strong business aspects of what I'm putting in front of you and your seller. Talk about the business deal.
I do
and
that,
the
and
strengths
for
of
when
that.
you guys put in like what she's saying is like, this is my pre-approval letter, here's our offer, here's this, but like, my offer is this amount. Like, break it down the
Break it down
contract
for
for them in the email, so they see the first 10 lines with the bulletproof, like,
Mhm.
whether you do the paragraph or not, like, you still break down, the like, this is the offer, this is the date, this is the closing date, this is, I even say type of offer, you know what I mean, like, I do that exactly too.
I'm crystal clear with that, and I also offer for them to call the lender and warn the lender that you made an offer. Definitely do that.
I also offer that if there's anything they feel needs changed, to please let us know.
I do that
without
too.
saying-
It's wiggle room.
And yes,
Creates
yeah,
wiggle room.
without
It's the
trying to
reward.
say more, but please
More.
work with us,
Yeah.
because it's all about that negotiation on both sides, whatever you're doing. You can make terms.
For our newer agents, like if you guys are getting ready to present an offer and you are just like, what am I missing? Remember that you have.
Feel free to ask us.
Here,
Yeah.
so check for
I'll roll
that.
it out.
We'll help you with that.
I'm working with a guy, VA, and he has no money to put down. And finally, I've convinced him, you're just not going to compete in the city of San Antonio. I mean, we looked at new home builds, and that's the best thing for him.
That's probably the best thing.
VAs And all that. He don't like PR.
You know what the one strength is on a VA deal right now? Good lenders tell me that they're required to have that appraisal in 18 days. My conventional appraisals have been taking 30 to 45 days in some instances. VA appraisals are required back in 18 days. So that's one of the strengths of the VA deal that you don't have on the other ones right now.
First one was in Natalia, and
That's gonna be different if you're rural, it's a whole different deal.
Listing agent said
But if
no
you're
there,
in
so I-
SA proper, 18 days.
And then the second one was Castroville, and I talked to a listing agent, I said, because they were only asking 285, we put it on for 307. And, I mean, there are people lined up down the street who didn't show them. But I talked to the listing agent and, tried to fill them out, and are we in the running? Yes, you're definitely in the running, So, I mean,
It just depends on what other offers come in, and unfortunately, Michelle's right. Sometimes you have to let them get their butts kicked on 2 or 3 deals,
Well, and it's not even your buyer's fault.
and it's not their fault.
Yeah.
Or they'll come up with the money that they need to come up
And they may
with,
not be able to,
or switch gears.
but I mean, I think just
So,
at least setting the expectations, then they're not mad at you.
Right.
Because
and
they
that's the thing,
understand.
he's not mad at me.
Yeah,
He is honest.
it's hard.
He needs to save some money or buy a new home.
It is what it is.
And remember to prepare them if you go to new builds, that if they say it's gonna be ready in April,
It's
Right.
not.
don't plan on moving until May or June or July or August.
Or Christmas.
Maybe even 2023.
The one that I did online, I think they had this week,
El pano está.
construction, because they said, ask them to show you in the model home what all is an upgrade. And I thought that was a good point, because
You
they
make
showed
it,
me
you make a
yeah.
good
Oh,
overall
yeah.
point. Anytime you guys can be taking extra classes or educating yourself, that's how we got here. We weren't born knowing this.
Yeah, people always.
We got our
think
butts
some
kicked
model
and we
homes-
took a lot of classes.
And we still do though. I mean, we
do.
still, I mean, I had a VA buyer last year who literally had like $40,000 or $50,000 to put down, which, you know, I wrote the offers. I started writing them with a down payment. And then that way in the third party financing, it only has to appraise the loan amount, not the sales price.
Right.
We wrote 8 offers before we got one. We were coming in 30, 40,000 over asking, and, you know, it still took us 8 offers to get it. So I
How
just,
did you do that on the third party with the VA? You wrote the down payment on the contract, and you put the offer amount on the VA. Did you put, so you say it was 350 and you were gonna finance 300? Is
Right.
that what you put on the third
Mhm.
party?
because it only has to appraise
Because they're
for
only
the loan
relevant to
amount of
loan
the VA.
amount.
Right, and so on the third party, what, on the second paper, on the bottom one, did you put 300 or 350? Like
300.
contract price, okay.
300, because they were gonna put down that 50,000 anyway. So, you know, 100% of 300, so
Okay.
really anything
So
over
what
now.
about an appraisal waiver? How do you write that?
Well, I didn't,
You
you
don't,
can't, you
but
really.
how have
And
you
see,
done
I
that?
do write it on an appraisal waiver to make it crystal clear on one document.
For VA.
I want to know, I do a partial waiver all the time, down to the list price, because I feel like that listing agent needs to take responsibility for the listing price that they chose.
So you put that
And
on the
I
second.
point that out in
Okay.
my list of highlights. Hey, we have an appraisal waiver, but we're only asking it to appraise at
Where you list
your
it, yeah.
list price. I point that back out, but they're the ones that
No,
chose that list
I
price,
agree
not
with that,
me.
and I've seen that, so my question to Rich is, while everybody's here listening, but is there still ways out of that? I feel like we've talked about that before, like, because we're putting it on the second page of,
Well, yeah.
The third party.
You're convincing that seller that it's gonna work, yes, technically.
Yeah, but-
The VA wants the sales price, but if they're putting.
so that's one thing that I
$50,000
feel like I've gotten real weird about, not with my buyers I try it every single time, but with when I have a listing and I'm like, oh, I see what they did, but then I'm scared in the back of my mind about the appraisal needing to be at list price.
But you can do things like it.
And the special provision?
So.
I ask for proof
Yeah,
of funds,
So I would
always.
never take their word like that.
Okay.
Never.
That would be a administration.
Mhm.
On high-end listings, I actually put it in agent remarks. If there is cash over $50,000, a proof of funds letter will need to accompany
Okay.
your approval letter. I just tell them up front.
Does that make
Send it
sense
with
to you
it.
guys, what we're talking about? Does that make sense? What we're
I think you gotta be careful on the partial waiver though. There's a lot of agents that are going above costs. So that partial waiver is
Yeah.
gonna take you out of the deal immediately. Because they know it's not gonna appraise for their sale.
But I have to it's a tough deal because you're always walking that fine line for a buyer about how much cash they have or
Yeah.
don't have. And you
Right.
can't wedge them in there if they
Well, I
can't
think the
perform.
important thing is that you tell them, here's where the comps are. You know, if the comps are 250 and this guy listed at 275, they need to have that knowledge, again, for set expectations.
I don't know about everybody else, but I've had pretty good luck with appraisals.
I was gonna say the same thing. I feel like
It's
anyone
better,
here
yeah.
not had good luck with appraisals, if anybody had seen that.
I've not really
lately?
had a problem. with
I just had a low one on a VA, but it wasn't too bad. The sales price was 515 and it appraised for 505. And, but again, they were putting
You
down,
can bridge that.
they were putting down money.
Yeah,
And so it doesn't matter, because they were gonna put down money anyway.
because they were bringing enough cash. to cover it.
Okay, I have a question for you, because I saw this yesterday.
What do you want that?
Sorry, Rich. All of you. So I showed a listing yesterday and didn't read it on the remarks, and of course, my client did as we were like walking into the house, and it was over in Mountain Lodge. And the agent put on the, like agent remarks, will only take full appraisal waivers offers.
Oh, well, wow.
Are you allowed to do that?
Oh,
Like you can put, like you, I thought you have to present any offer, like you can't.
Not if your seller directs you on, like your seller can say, don't even show me offers below 300,000, then you can say it.
Wow.
You are obligated other than your seller giving you instructions, specific instructions. on
I'll
what to
tell
do.
my one seller that she's all
Okay,
about-
so that brings us to this. For newer agents, and if you're working buyers, I think you need to be really, really careful to not waive this and waive that, and do anything you can to get something under contract. I've always had a rule, I've been at this 20 years, single mom trying to feed my kids, and one deal does not my license take or make. One deal can take you out. It is not worth being in court and wrecking your livelihood over one deal. Now, if you have explained clearly to your buyer the ramifications of waiving inspection and waiving appraisal, and you're sure they have cash to cover it, and if they can bridge the delta and you know they have the money and you've spoken to the lender, and you still counseled them accordingly, you make sure you paper that up.
Yeah, so-
I don't care if you have to manufacture a document
Or just an email.
to show, yeah, put it in writing
What
somewhere.
we talked about on the phone.
We talked about, hey, I want to recap the fact that I'm uncomfortable with you waiving the appraisal and the inspection, but I just want to reiterate in writing that we have had this conversation and that you're choosing to move forward doing this, this, and this. And that way you've covered your tracks, because Rich is gonna get drug in with you, you're gonna get drug in, and anymore, all this stuff is gonna come back when somebody has buyer's remorse, and they aren't just gonna pick on one person, they're gonna scatter sheet, and they're gonna drag everybody into the grievance and court, you included. So don't be so quick to waive everything without having had those conversations with your buyers. It's not worth the commission, because it'll cost you that much more.
So are there any other agents that have any other tips for submitting an offer? Bobby?
So I think one thing that we need to cover too, Bobby, help me, like, I'm asking as much as I'm talking, like with option periods, what are we seeing? Because I know when I had a listing just recently in Alma Ranch, and I'm still getting offers with $10 a day option, 10 days, like that's out the door. You should not be you shouldn't be sending it with that, and you shouldn't be accepting it with that. Does that make sense to people? Like, what are we seeing? What are
And
y'all,
the
are
reason
y'all doing
she's saying
20? Are
that
y'all
is she
doing
feels
50?
like then the buyer doesn't have enough skin in the game to take your property off the market for a mere $100 for 10 days.
Mhm.
Not
I
in
mean,
this fast of a
Not
market.
this-
It should
yeah,
be $500 for 7 days.
Yeah,
And I'll
If
tell
it's
you
over
what I
$350.
like
Right,
what are
so
y'all
this
seeing?
is-
What are y'all doing?
I
Like
have 3 days,
I've done 5 days,
3
500.
days, 3 to 5 days. 7 days is a
Did
long
you
ass
call
time.
your inspector before you did that?
Ooh.
Yeah, because
I can't get an
I
inspection.
can't get an
in 3
inspection in
days.
3 days.
I've been doing 5
I'm
days.
saying on the buy side, I never go 3 days.
But if I have a full
Five
inspection, you better ask
them.
them.
Well, I'm just saying I'm just telling
Yeah.
you what I see.
I think it
And-
depends.
Yeah.
It depends on the house. It depends on the buyer.
I think-
It depends on,
I think if a buyer's agent is doing what they're supposed to do and give the buyer options for
Yep.
inspectors, they can find an inspector to do it in 3 days. They can.
yeah,
Yeah.
I usually do,
That's right.
5 days, $150. Should I be doing that?
I think
Depends on
$150
it depends
is
on your
not-
location, it depends on like where your
Price point of the
price
house.
point. If you're in Santera and you're doing that, people probably aren't even reading the rest of the contract.
Right, okay.
It's really about the competition that
Ask
you're
us, though,
going
yeah,
against, like
yeah.
how badly do they really want it?
Right.
Yeah.
Right, because you can only tell them how you're trying to protect them, but they also understand contracts too, and they really want the property. Because if they find out later that, oh shit, all it was gonna take me was $1,000 for a 7-day option, I'd have done that to get the house.
Right.
Yeah.
They gotta know that.
Because it shows strength to the listing agent that your people are willing to pony up $1,000.
To me, option
Okay,
is
this-
better than earnest.
This, to me, there are actually agents that flip the two, where they make the larger amount the option period and the earnest money small,
100%.
to see how much skin they have in the game. And here's why. When we first started this multiple offer situation, agents were going out and putting 3 houses under contract at the same time and then letting their buyer decide which one they wanted. So 2 houses were back on the market and got their new stats correct, and we got 2 really frustrated sellers and listing agents, right? And it was because agents were running out, putting 3 things under contract with little tiny option money.
Yeah.
Right? There's no skin in the game. If you put up $500 to $1,000 and literally call that agent or put it in your list of highlights of your offer, this is the only offer that my buyer has working at the moment. Tell them that. It can't hurt, because then it leaves the question in their mind if everybody else who made an offer is working 3 deals at the same time. And they're playing everybody against everybody else and gonna opt out on.
So, coming from the listing agent side, we'll start with Christy, like, when you get multiple offers, how are you going through those two?
One thing first, though, just because we're talking about for the inspection, for the listing agent, you should want the buyer to get an inspection.
Absolutely.
So should your seller, because that's gonna protect them liability wise. Because I have So at first, people say, oh, I'm waiting, inspection. No, not do that. If you don't have an option period, still, they should also, for buyer or seller, want them to still get an inspection. Period, even if they don't have an option period, they should be getting an inspection. So we just all want to be careful with that. You know,
I had one where I had them do a pre-listing inspection, tell me if this is okay. I had them do a pre-listing inspection, the house was 1978. So I had that, and I would release it to them, and that way they could do no inspection, and I did get somebody that did no inspection.
Yeah.
Would that be okay to do?
it's okay, yeah, I like from the seller's perspective, I don't really like it from the buyers because that inspector is not here for them, they didn't hire him.
Right.
So, you know, it's
Better than nothing.
yes, you know, and they made that choice. You presented a good thing from the seller's standpoint, I do like that. But if I had a buyer, I would still want to.
Here on
Now,
inspection.
again, that would depend on different things too, the age of the house and what was on the report, that could be,
Right.
you know, different factors.
And Diana added, the most critical skill to this multiple offer game is learning to read the listing agent and how they're going to present things. Not always possible, but still critical. So, great segue, Diana. So Christy, back to.
Okay, I present all offers that come in as they come in with all the main points in a net sheet and try to do everything I can to keep up and not get behind. So I don't like to have a cutoff until we see what's happening too. It depends on how many days we've been on the market. So I can't tell what's gonna happen. Except, you probably know what's gonna happen, but still you have to make sure the offers you get are the ones that you've been hoping for and give enough time for people to get there and put in their offers. So I just try, as soon as somebody gives an offer, to present that to my client and have all the information there so they keep coming and we're able to review them and then we decide when we're gonna do a cutoff.
She said some magic words, net sheets. If you don't know how to run a net sheet, you need to learn quickly.
Sit down
Net
with your
sheets
test.
are the information that you have that your seller doesn't understand. They need your help with that. The list price is one thing, but the net is completely another. It's like trying to shop for a car. Whatever's on the sticker is one thing, but what's your monthly payment? What are your taxes and insurance? What's it gonna cost me to actually go out and drive off the lot with this car? See my point? Net sheets are crucial.
You should be doing
For
net sheets when you're at your listing appointment.
Literally, yeah, you're right,
And
absolutely.
to give an idea of what they.
I have a question. So you present them as they come in, the offers?
Yes.
You do.
Yes.
So
yes.
not
I mean,
everybody does, but you gotta fill out, depending on your schedule too, you gotta, cause I used
Yeah.
to do that, but if you have, sometimes like, if it's, on a weekend, or maybe you have more,
Yeah.
it really what works best for you. And sometimes you just have clients that really wanna know too right away, like, but I think sometimes you can save yourself like time and energy, or like, so you're not like sending it all the time. Like setting that deadline, or like, hey, we're gonna present at this, and then do them all together. But then it also, if you have 20, then you're sitting there for, you know what I mean? Like, I
Right.
think
Well,
it just
I
depends
don't-
on you and your client.
Very important. I don't do it late at night anymore.
Yeah.
I have a cutoff in my mind that I don't want to talk to my
Yeah.
clients about anything exciting because we're never gonna go to sleep. We're gonna be up all night. So you always try to stop it, but I try to keep up because I've had 35 offers, 3 days. I mean, it was madness at Thanksgiving, which I ruined my Thanksgiving with it, but I learned a lot from it.
Rich is like,
I didn't ruin it, but I mean, it was close. It's a story, but anyways, never expected that to happen, but it was insane. Yeah, but I mean, it's just so hard to keep up, and I feel that I need to represent these buyers and present their offers, even if they're not something important. I don't know, I don't feel like I need to pick and choose unless my clients only want me to do that, but I feel that every buyer that has an offer is an important person, and I try to do that, so my clients know too how important their home is.
Buyer's agents are just working so hard right now.
I think something else that has frustrated me that I ran into with one of my offers, was they left it sitting for so long. It was like the N1 and we went 100,000 over, like, but it was like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday to Monday. And he ended up getting like 30 something offers. And then he told me, I'm only presenting the 5 highest offers.
Yeah.
Is that allowed?
Yes, if the seller says that, they can.
Okay.
Yes.
But
Now you can
Yes.
tell the seller, you can be like, do
The
you
answer
just
to that
want the
question
5
is-
highest best
Because,
offers?
because as a
Okay.
listing agent, you go in there, you gotta
Okay.
talk, you gotta set the expectation.
I just
to the
always remember
seller.
hearing like.
Do you wanna see a breakdown of all 30 offers? Do you want
Like,
that?
I
Do
wouldn't
you
want
want,
the seller.
right? That's what the
I
seller-
wouldn't either.
what do you
I just
want?
thought we
The
like
five
had
highest?
to.
Okay, do you want ones that are only gonna have waiver appraisals, whatever, like appraisal waivers?
Yeah.
Then, okay, that's what they want. Like,
Okay.
as long as you set, they understand it, and the seller understands it, and says they only want that, then you can even, look at the big listing agents in town right now, and watch what they do.
Okay.
Because they're doing it to save them from crazy.
Yeah, you gotta be efficient.
It's overwhelming.
I have something to add that I don't know how many people will actually do this, but I was reading through a post on Facebook the other day and somebody was, holy shit.
Well, that must make it real.
No, it was a big
It
agent.
does make it true.
No, but but it's good.
Shift
That's
talk
what I'm
is,
saying.
shift talk is good.
I like reading through stuff I learned from other people, that's fine.
Right.
But anyway, so somebody was asking, I'm a VA buyer, I'm struggling, they're struggling really hard, and AJ Ronaldo. or whatever.
Yeah, and he does great.
Yeah, he said, for VA, he has, give them everything, pay for all of their stuff, for the seller stuff, and then even offer, that your client will pay for your commission. So they don't even have to pay for it.
If they have the money though.
If somebody ever.
Right.
Yeah, but that was another thing that I hadn't heard of.
That's back to the
But to
harsh
me-
reality of how much money your client really has.
How
The
bad they want
conversation
house.
that you've had with the lender about what's truly doable. Because sometimes on certain loans, the lender needs to have them have X cash in reserves.
Yeah.
You can't blow that all, you can't spill all your candy in the lobby. Sometimes they need them to keep some cash reserves on hand. You have to be realistic about that conversation with the lender. The lender holds the gold, so the lender makes the rules. Always remember that.
Really quick, and then, really quick, just because Myra sent this to me, this is from, listing, the agent remarks, this property currently has multiple offers, we will be making this decision on them early next week. Please talk with your clients about submitting the best offer up front. Also, they would be able to do cash in case the appraisal comes in lower price, if using conventional financing track. Anyway, she's just telling like, check those agent remarks, obviously, and see what they're saying. But Bobby, you're.
No, yeah, getting back to that point, we've always, the market has changed for the first, I've been in real estate for 18 years, the first time I've ever experienced this like this. Because most of the time, we're used to listing agents paying us.
Yeah.
And you tell the buyer, and the buyers have gotten comfortable with, I don't have to pay for these, somebody else is gonna pay them. But if you look at the listing, the buyer's representation agreement, it specifically spells that part out, because it wasn't always like this. Obviously, at some point before, in a different market that's similar to what we're in now, they had that where the buyer's agents, if they wanted representation, because remember, everybody used to be represented by the seller only, by the listing agent only. Like buyer representation didn't happen until like late 90s. So, but we've always been accustomed to the buyers, the sellers or listing agents paying the buyer's agents. Well, in some cases, it's not gonna happen.
So
I
help
mean,
me.
You have to
that
buy
would-
it, like, if
Why-
the builder,
why-
if the builder's only paying 1% and you want 3%, the buyer can come up with a difference too.
But what's the benefit of, I'm literally thinking through this in my mind, like, I know you're saving the seller 3%. But like, what would be, like, why not just add that to your offer?
See, I'm with you. I think it's all coming out of the
Maybe
same
the
pot of
appraisal,
money.
I mean,
True story.
Yeah, it's all about the net, so that'll.
It's all coming out of the
so you
same pot of
have a
money.
lower price, maybe that helps you with appraisal.
Okay.
But the other thing to remember, when you put a listing in the MLS group, the brokers have promised to pay that.
Has
out.
promised to pay.
So the only
It's in
way
there.
you can do that is there has to be a letter from the broker saying that I don't want that money, you promised to pay me in the MLS, so don't ever do that.
Yeah, they could keep the 6%,
I mean,
and
yeah,
then your
I-
buyer still pays the 3%, that could totally
I've
happen.
seen that happen.
Oh, that
Yeah.
And that would be really
I've
uncool,
seen
but.
it happen.
So back to some of the, did you want to add anything else here, Michelle?
No.
Michelle, when you are involved, when you get multiple offers.
So I don't present them as they come in. And of course, it depends on the house and it depends on how many you expect. And I have had where it took us 4 days to get like the good offer. But, and again, I set the expectation with my seller about what I expect to happen. What I've been doing is I've been putting houses on the market on a Thursday, and then I expect to show them through the weekend. And usually not accept anything until Sunday night or Monday.
Exactly.
But what I do when I present them is I read through each one, and then I do a net sheet, and then on that net sheet, I just write like the high points of that offer, and all I send my clients are the net sheets. Until we get, because there's too many, it's too
overwhelming.
complicated and overwhelming for them to have all these offers, so I'll just do, buyer number one, buyer number two, and I'll put them in the order they came in. I'll keep like a spiral notebook, and I'll write as I'm getting emails over the weekend, okay, offer number one from so-and-so, so I don't forget any. And then I'll write, sales price, earnest money, option period, closing date, that kind of thing.
I actually have a.
And then,
Yeah.
And then that's how I do, what I look for. I mean, obviously, you're looking for a good, strong offer, you want the most money. But you also want the offer that is most likely to close. And so that comes back to who's the lender.
Yeah.
I mean, who's that letter from? Who's the pre-approval letter from? Is it somebody I've worked with? Is it somebody I know? Is it Navy Fed? In which case I'm like, yeah, they have great pricing, but they can't close anything in 60 days. So, and I'm gonna tell my client, I don't think that's a good lender. I think we're gonna have a tough time with that. And then also, if I've had the lender call me and say, hey, my people are solid, or if it's an agent that I've worked with before and I know they're good. So a lot of time it's just how I'm gonna give my opinions to the seller. I just had one though, it was in Bridgewood, and we're priced at $269, and we got, 9 offers, I guess, and 2 of them were from big, I buyers or big investors. They sold it to an FHA family.
Oh.
Diana asked, so you do, yeah, you did kind of just answer, you do offer your opinion, of course.
I absolutely do, because what are they paying me for?
Right.
It's
So
not,
what-
it's,
If you don't mind me asking, just so we can get an idea of what's out there, I think it would be fun, or not fun, but how high did you get on that? From the iBuyer, from regular people?
So-
Did you go, did they go 20 over?
so we were priced at $269. The house needed carpet in a couple rooms. It had some flooring damage. I mean, it was nice, but it wasn't awesome. And the first offer I got was for full price from one of these big, they're buying a bunch of rental properties, right? And then I got another one that was $280, but my FHA offer was also $280. So there was, and the agent called me, these people have been in an apartment, they've got 3 kids, they've been looking for a house, They came in at $280, they paid title, they didn't ask for anything. And so really the net was about the same. And
I think one.
but my seller wanted it to go to a family.
Well, which is great.
And it appraised.
And you can look at an FHA
for
deal and know
280.
there is an occupied.
Well, and I had the same thing, and my people picked a family, but the iBuyers too, they have a lot of addendums. They have a
Oh.
lot of outs for themselves, you know what I mean? So I try to caution my sellers on that too, they're protecting themselves. They might offer you this right now, but they're definitely setting up, they have their inspectors, they have their business days, they have all that stuff. So I point that out to my people too.
That's good.
I have a question. And I also have something to say. I have an offer out right now for this lady that I've been working with for a long time already. And it's FHA. They told us, we put in a good offer. They told us yesterday, we're gonna present at 3:30. We did a partial waiver. I guess he didn't, his clients didn't like it. But he did tell me, because now he's waiting until Sunday. Anyway, he did tell me, we're throwing out all VAs. And I thought that was so sad.
It is sad. It's ignorant.
To say that.
It's
is what that
almost like
is.
it's
And he's
a
like, but we will
discrimination.
consider FHA, and I was like, does VA know that you're doing that? Just.
Yeah.
Why would they throw out
And why would
VA
they-
over FHA?
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. at all.
Especially when you can get the appraisal in so much quicker.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense. So when I write my short novels, the other agent, and again, it depends on who the other agent is. Do I know if they're experienced? I'll explain things like that. Like, hey, this VA offer isn't gonna be any tougher than a conventional offer.
So
We've
here's
got the
something with
money,
the
we've
VA.
got, the house is in good shape.
Because that VA buyer doesn't have to pony up that money in the down, it gives them more money to work with on the appraisal margin. Do you see?
Unless they
It
don't
gives
have
them
any.
more money to go over, but a lot of times they do. They'll go zero and they've got $40,000 in the bank. But they didn't have to automatically put up a down, so that gives them some wiggle room that wasn't already committed. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But people don't know that, I don't think.
Yeah,
So-
that's where you have to.
Unless you.
I mean, if you think it through,
Yeah.
yeah.
Unless you put the money down to show they have it. it would be
They
hard.
don't know it.
So,
I think it's.
I know there's there's gonna be back and forth about this. I'm sure people want to hear. But we had a question that you kind of already addressed, but Myra came in a little late. And she asked, and do y'all provide buyer love letters? I always get mixed messages, and Diana added, I just helped write one because the listing agent suggested it. And I will also added, I don't think the method Christie does, where she just kind of gives info about her buyers, as well as when we talked about, hey, they're on the phone with the family, that's not a love letter, you're just giving them info about the buyers, right?
I feel like we do the
But
exact same thing though, like.
But
The
it's not
bottom
a
line
letter
is that
from-
This is a relationship
A fair
business, I don't
housing
think so.
violation, that's the bottom line.
Yeah.
If you have revealed any information about marital status, creed, religion, any of that.
I'll risk it.
It's, until somebody turns you in, the second
You
somebody.
were like.
I'm a traffic instructor, I have to.
I'll risk it.
But think about this, if they find out that you submitted a love letter and the other agents think that their offer, you picked an offer that they didn't submit a love letter on and they turn you in, is it worth the battle? It's not worth the battle to me. I'd rather be out working 3 more deals than going to grievance and having to deal
Good for
with the
you.
fair housing.
But no, that goes back to your seller wants to know, because my sellers want to know, like they do love
But it
that
doesn't make
stuff,
it
like.
right.
And
Well, does it make it right saying I'm only gonna take
Because I
waiver,
think-
blah, blah,
I
blah,
think that
like,
you
or
could
only
write a
want
love
5
letter.
top?
I think that you could write a love letter without violating the fair housing laws. I do believe that.
I think you can
If
wait,
you
but
tell
but
them
I'm saying,
what
what's
the
the
fair
difference, a love
housing
letter
laws
and a
are,
phone call?
If you tell them the fair housing laws are, and they write the letter anyway, that letter's not from me, it's from them.
Well, that's what I'm saying, I didn't write the letter.
Like I'm with
It
Michelle
got
on this
passed along
part,
by
like,
you though.
like I'm gonna tell you that there's some things that you do that you gotta take, you're gonna take a risk. Either you're gonna get the deal or you're not gonna get the deal. Like that's gonna happen. I don't write them and I never suggest.
You know, I've had
But buyers do it.
go off of names. I mean,
Yeah,
if
so-
people are gonna do something.
But
they're
you
going
can't
to do-
protect
you
that
can't
in a
protect everything.
contract.
You can't protect name, you can't
Yeah.
protect, say, 2 men's names, 2 women's names, like.
I was gonna
people
say,
can
it's
go
on
to
the
any
contract.
link.
the last letter that I ever allowed buyers, 2 lesbians, I did not know the other agent, I looked them up afterwards, super conservative, they were talking about they got married on the same bridge as the people that they bought the house from, because there's always pictures and da. I never heard from him.
It did not work in their favor, did
This
it?
guy was a newer agent, he
It did
like
not
told
work in
me
their favor.
everything to write in my offer to be the other. We had great conversations.
And you still didn't get it.
But then
I
he should
still
have
don't
not looked at the letter.
As soon as he saw the letter, he stopped responding to
Stop
me.
responding.
Wow.
And I looked
It
him
can
up,
actually
and
work
you
against.
see, like, he's super conservative, I was like,
Big
oh,
time.
crap.
So-
So I won't do that anymore.
Rich, do you have anything to say on that? Rosa said is, again, it's a love letter.
It's a business.
It is a violation if you violate the fair
Well,
housing.
right, it's not in itself, just writing the letter is not a violation, but it can, like that, whether that was from the agent or the seller, it can't put a seller in an awkward position. If there's things in there that would violate, now I picked this offer, and I know you're this, and this, well, now have I violated as a seller, so it can backfire.
Right.
On agents to do that, I think what you guys are doing, the letters you're writing are kind of like that, whether it comes from it's just how much you're pulling in. You know, like that person wanted liked it, the fact that it was an FHA and a family, and someone who's sympathetic to the military might take a VA offer.
Right.
And there's
Yeah.
nothing in the fair housing law. that
So,
says
yeah, I
every
mean-
woman-
So people are going to, or a name, or this, I mean, it's gonna happen anyway.
Teachers.
And you wanna be careful with it, for sure, and it's not always a positive to the seller, especially in this market.
I-
It makes them feel uneasy.
I have sold multiple homes on both sides where they like the fact that the lady was a teacher and their mom was a teacher or
Right.
whatever. And is that fair? I don't know if that's fair, but in this market, I'm trying to put the best of my buyer forward. And, I don't think I'm saying anything wrong, but I do think that sellers like to know a little bit about who they're dealing with. And so I'll say, and I've also been on the listing side where I've gotten love letters and I have not passed them on. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna even pass that on,
And that's something you can
it
ask
depends on your
seller.
client.
But that's
Yeah, it depends on my client. Some clients don't care.
Try to direct them to talk about the house, right? Like, oh, I love that your house
Yeah.
is clean,
Yeah.
or blah, blah, blah.
Right.
You wanna talk about the house, not like, you know, like how you connect them, like you take such great care of your house, like,
But
you
you
know,
can see
like.
their pictures on the wall, like, you know,
Right.
kind of, or I know I
I
have.
mean, I had a guy who was a pilot and his wife wrote a letter because he saw some wings that were in the house that was, they connected. You
Yeah.
got it off.
Military
No.
status, by the way, is part of fair housing. That's why on Facebook, if I put that, you're not get.
Oh, really?
And you cannot, like, I tried a few years ago, once the days were changed, their ad rules, I couldn't
I guess I got a little class, because I don't know.
yeah, I couldn't make, less, an ad got rejected, right, when they changed it.
But you see
This is.
Veterans
You
and
can say-
pictures
you
all the
can say
time.
he serves, right, like, less is a veteran, but it was because we were targeting, hey, military, so it was, anyway, that's, not great, but the way you can make the ads, you can still target veterans without like,
Right, but this is really about
Yeah.
discriminating.
but it's still part of, it's still part of their house, like, it's still part of.
Okay, I have to look at it, because I didn't see that, I didn't know that.
And Myra added, one thing that helps me is that my lender has the buyer underwritten, approved, and guaranteed, kind of what we were talking
Right.
about with Motto. Guarantees a 21-day closing, the lender, CC the lender on the offer, we talked about that, like, making sure when you, submit your offers, making sure your lender is ready to talk to that other agent, and email, so she CC's the lender on the offer email that she uses as a tool to try and win the offer. Yes.
That's a good idea.
That is a good.
The other thing I do is I work with lenders that will immediately order the appraisal upon contract, not waiting until the end of the option period. Because the quicker we order, and usually it's in that queue and there's still time to cancel it if the deal falls through, and a good lender knows that. And some of my lenders have had to eat an appraisal once or twice a year, but they said it's totally worth the book of business that they get because they're willing to work to our needs.
They close
Does that
faster.
make sense? They get it
Yeah.
closed.
Let's say with HOA.
Yeah, get them across the finish line and we'll deal with it later as a cost of doing business if we have to eat something.
I have a question for you all as listing agents. I have a great lender that does that, and he'll make the call and make them
Yes.
feel real good about the offer that we submitted. So I have a great lender that I work with. But like, what if you have somebody who says, hey, I think with SSFCU, and they do have the best rates, I use them myself. How would you all see an SSFCU approval?
Crappy
I-
customer service.
I thought SSFCU wasn't bad, like,
I've
as
struggled with them a couple
USAA and
times.
Navy Federal
Yeah,
and.
yes,
I've heard RBFCU to stay away from them because their appraisals take way too long. That's the one I've heard of. I hadn't heard of the others, but how would you all be okay receiving SSFCU? Not really.
It depends on the listing agent and and the property too. Like I
And how many
said,
offers we have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But y'all.
What you're up
But
against.
you
Y'all
also,
look
with
at
a listing agent, you do your
as
due
the-
diligence and you try to call the lender, and I always judge on like, did they call me back, did they answer my text message, and I mean, like, if you're, yeah, like.
Are they even?
that's the hard
Yeah.
part, because
Gotcha.
there might be 30 different lenders at SSFCU.
But you're calling the
Right.
one that
And it
sent
gets
you the
really
letter,
different.
you're
I know,
trying to
yeah.
contact that person,
And
and
that's the
how
thing
quickly
is
they
that
get back to you.
Okay, and I'm sorry, this is not debatable, but military status depends on the state. Texas does not provide it, San Antonio does provide fair housing protection for Michigan, so it's actually. Well, that is probably why I got flagged.
To get into the weeds a little bit on what you're talking about on the lender, really, from a listing agent is going to pay more attention, and I always call the lender on the last deal or two that we're choosing
Yeah.
between. I call both lenders and I say, have you truly verified income and assets in writing, not just verbally? Do you have a job?
Yeah,
Do you have money in the bank?
look at
No.
those checked boxes.
Have you seen their bank statements? Have you pulled their
They
credit?
have the
Have you
boxes checked,
verified their
usually.
employment?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's
But-
big on those
I do
letters.
check the boxes, but
Yeah.
I should.
Just so you know, if you get a letter from Melina, from SSFCU.
I work with her. She was my
That's
leader.
She's good, she's solid, like.
She would
you
always
gotta know
answer.
this, you know the
I
difference.
even told her, like, thank you.
properties, let me
She's
build
great.
properties.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, like,
Run.
Not everybody, and I don't know.
Still
that
dealing
either.
with it.
I know that, it's like from a bank that I'm
That's funny
personally.
that you know her, she was really, really good on this, like, oh, she answered and responded right away.
And I do think but that right there is like kind of a good point, if you guys are unsure about something,
Call.
remember that, like, use our group, you know, that's,
Yeah.
and
That
if,
is true.
you know, very,
Like,
has anyone.
nobody
Josh
knows-
is so
Nobody
responsive.
knows more people than the people.
Yeah.
She knows
Like,
everybody.
has anyone
I am
ever-
Casey,
has
I
anyone
really
dealt with this, you know, like, just don't be afraid to ask.
Yeah, just what you said about, will they communicate? Will they answer you? Did they actually verify? We have to be very careful to not paint everything with a white brush. Lenders vary just like real estate agents vary.
Yeah.
We can't paint it with a white brush and say, oh, all of this SFCU is terrible. But keep in mind, some of them just recently got into the mortgage business and they don't necessarily have the staff to like back it all up on the underwriting side and the processing side and all of that. And if they're just doing it as a sideline, that's tough. Legacy Mutual, that's all they do. You know, their rates might be a little bit higher, but their customer service is exceptional because they got 5 people on the team and you can always get somebody on the phone.
Linda, did you have a question?
Yeah,
I
the
did.
ships first.
Since you guys do listings, I hope to when I grow up. And all of us show buyers. One of the things I noticed since I show a lot, and I show for other, for other agents and stuff, sometimes your showing instructions or your offer instructions are, I mean, I've not seen it with anyone here, but sometimes it is almost like, do you really even want us to show it? Or, it's very,
A lot of that's set by the sellers. And sometimes you get real picky
I
sellers
want
that,
examples, like what?
like, I mean, yesterday, the other day I had one of like, the same one that they only want waiver, whatever, was wear a mask, people stay together, agents don't leave your people, like she had notes all over the entire
I'm okay
house,
with
like.
that, but sometimes it's really.
Okay, I think I know
Well,
where
what are
you're
talking about
going.
specifically?
You want them to
Yeah.
put the title, complete title company information in there, or you want complete offer
Oh, no, there's
instructions,
just
you
bad
want,
agents.
help me,
That's
help
what I
you,
mean. Yeah.
write
But
write
you're
this
talking about
offer.
showing, you said
No, no,
you
the
said
showing-
show.
The showing is okay, sometimes I wish they could update their 30-year-old lock boxes, but, but then there's no seller's disclosure, there's
Yeah.
not, there's nothing.
You feel like that's a chase.
Yeah.
Can I tell you something about those freaking super lock boxes on the resale of that, like, is there's so many agents, 20,000 agents in the city, and a lot of them are new, or just don't give a fuck. Like, as soon as if I have somebody who's living at the house and I have a super lock box, I take that damn thing off as soon as I get a contract. I take it off because people are still going in there.
Yeah.
People-
So?
I know
Yeah,
so.
Yes,
Wait,
that's
what? Like after it's under contract?
Without making appointments?
You know
What are you
that
talking about? What are you talking
You
about?
know that you can go into any house in San Antonio that has a lockbox on, super lockbox on,
When
or
it's active or active.
or
Yes,
pending,
you
or
can.
whatever,
Yeah,
it
but
doesn't
that,
matter.
but that means they didn't schedule it. People do that without scheduling.
Hell yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
I have not had that.
So I
Never.
experience.
Never.
Oh, yeah.
We have a check.
Some people are willing to,
Wow.
I wanted to,
I'm just telling you, it's not, and all the time that I've been doing real estate, it's never happened. to
Somebody
me.
walked into your
So,
house.
Now the buyer wants to go in the house and when you get your inspection, I mean, that could be hard if you don't have the logbook.
Yeah.
well, put a combo on,
Put a combo on.
and then just
I
give
have
it to the
combo
people
box.
involved, yeah.
And I only give it to the people that need it.
I've done that
I
too.
do that.
And I-
I have never had that.
Yeah.
And it's only happened to me once, but once is enough to piss people off.
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to
When
piggyback
you
on the
rent a
offer
house,
instruction
when you
thing.
go into your house, if you have kids that are there, and you have a
Yeah,
lockbox there in
yeah.
the house, think about it.
I just haven't.
So-
had that.
Michelle, and then
Well, you're
I'll
a good
have
house
Linda.
owner.
Yeah, so I wanted to piggyback on what Debbie said. That's one thing also when I talk about when I'm writing offers. Don't be lazy, you know, fill it out.
Yes,
Do not make
yes,
mistakes.
yes.
Do not leave any blanks.
Yeah.
And yeah, if the agent, personally, I don't put a big old thing of offer instructions on mine. I say what title company I want to use, I say where they're located, but as a buyer's agent, if it just says use, Independence Title, maybe name, I Google it and I look it up and I'm like,
Yeah.
what location is that person at? And I write it.
I
And
do that
then
with
if I don't know, because you write the name of the company, and then the broker's license number, which is not, the company, go to track. I've started going, I'll leave that one blank sometimes.
I've always loved it.
No,
But-
you don't have to. Where the number is, where the broker number is, you
That's
just
the
click on that in the
That's
MLS
the
sheet.
broker's
No,
number.
you
No,
click on that
no, that's
next
not
one
the right
and
one.
it opens up
That's
the
not the right
back.
one. That's,
You have to go one screen deeper.
that's Rich's number.
No,
I
it's the
tried
same
that.
thing. You just go one screen deeper.
So my point is, I go through and I look up all that information
Yeah.
and I fill it out because
Yeah, but like I said,
I think we have all.
do not be lazy and do not make
And
mistakes.
sometimes they'll simply say like address 123 Main Street, and they'll say use GPS.
And that's really lazy.
Yeah, if you
That's
look-
really
if you
lazy.
look under my thing in MLS, it has Rich's MLS, Rich's check number, not the broker check.
So-
Right, it has this 509, or what is it?
I've never had
609-530, whatever.
Linda, you had a question?
I just had, this is the first time that other few I've done have been conventional, that, you're talking about the lender, and so back on the VA guy, he was set on using this one lender. I like the one that Liz and I use, and I tried to get him either use Mono or the one that we've been
He's
using.
VA, he could have used a lot too.
He has United Veterans and he loves them.
They've been getting the bad rap lately.
No, he kept telling me.
They used to be
"No,
good.
I don't have to put earnest money down, and I said, yes, you do, and he said, no, it's zero down, I said.
Oh,
"Check
yeah.
with
This
the
is not
bank."
1994.
Well,
and friggin'
technically
no,
you
that's-
don't, but you're not gonna get it.
It's
No,
true.
I mean,
So
it's a
when I-
VA.
No, right, no,
So
I
the truth
remember,
is, you don't
yeah,
have
somebody
to-
shot hard for that.
What can I ask the lender? What do I have the right, I mean, what are the boundaries on that?
Let him tell you the boundaries. You just ask.
He should know that.
Well, the lender's not gonna,
Obviously, because he didn't even know he had to put down earnest money.
the lender's not gonna tell you
He
what
does-
earnest money
that
to put
didn't
down.
happen.
No, but she's saying that she doesn't know what she can ask.
What can I ask the lender?
You can ask them.
Anything.
You're not, I mean, the lender's not supposed to talk to you about the buyer's credit score or anything private like that, but as far as, you know,
The structure
the
of the
structure of the
deal.
loan, they can talk to
He
you
can
about all
talk to
that
you about the
stuff.
structure of the deal all day long, and I think a lot of agents write offers without talking to the lender, which actually creates problems as you get closer to closing, because now the lender's trying to clean up the mess that the agent created by randomly writing whatever they wanted to in the offer.
But here's what I do understand, what I think you might be alluding to a little bit too as well, is that a lot of lenders, not so much now, but like say a year ago, they were still telling people like, hey, with a good loan, with your rent is awesome, we can get you in with, you know, VA loan.
yeah.
No down payment, no down payment, no closing costs, shit like that, right? Like, that doesn't.
Set you
No,
up.
That used to happen.
But no, it happens then, like it's like the
But
United
they'll tell you
Veterans.
that,
they're like,
oh, your
oh.
broker didn't get that for you?
I have my lender told one of my clients, that she didn't have to, what did he tell her?
Probably closing costs.
Yeah,
Oh,
ask
your
the
agent
seller
can
to
get
pay
your
some closing costs for you.
Yeah, yeah.
I roll.
You're like, why don't you call your lender and tell him to pay your closing costs for you and your
No,
title
that's-
policy.
This guy, my lender, this is why I love the news, but he told them that we didn't have to do a partial waiver. And I was like, stop telling her that, like, we need it, there's like 17 offers on this.
You don't have to, but do you want the house?
Right. But
My lender better not be telling my buyer stuff that gets them
Like,
not
do not
getting the
affect
house
them.
or.
Yeah.
Linda, what was the rest of your question?
And then the other part was, he didn't even have the earnest money, so the girlfriends wanted to get it to him, but you can't do that,
No.
right?
Or you have to
There would have to,
show it,
that's a
you have
lender
to-
question, he'd probably have to give a gift letter and all that.
It has to be
Exactly.
sourced.
They have
That's
to
what
see
I
where it
said
came
before,
from.
the lender makes the rules, you have to be asking them how to structure these deals,
And I think
especially
he
on money
really
going
talks
in
to
and
a
out.
different person every
Yeah, I
time.
think
Are you
this
still
buyer
showing
needs
him?
more
Are you still showing
education.
this guy? Like you're wasting your time.
I have driven all around to every small.
But that's
town
kind of
around
like,
the
stuff like
ends.
that,
Yeah.
like, call and ask us questions, because
Yeah.
that I would have told you a long time ago, like, because you just don't know.
To cut it.
But that's something that,
Or
You
go
want-
talk to homework. That'd be a good one.
I mean, this guy's are gonna be good.
That would be a
homework,
good
he doesn't
one.
have any money.
He didn't have money, he can't.
But like, that's something that you didn't know, but we could have said like, look, you've got to bet a little bit more, because right now, I mean, when I vet people, I'm like, do you have earnest money? Do you have inspection money? Like, that's setting the expectation of your buyer do you do buyer consultations? like
What?
buyer consultation, like,
Yes, yes.
so like, that's where
He
you gotta
did
kind
want
of do
that,
that.
but he just had it in his head, just.
But even earnest money, that has to
VA told me
show.
this, VA told me that, you know.
She said it's 1994, yeah,
Yeah.
this is in 1994.
I mean, the thing is,
Sorry.
like, you could buy a house with $500
April,
earnest
you
money.
would buy it as a
I still think new, a new construction is the way. to go.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
really it is,
So-
that, in this market, that's probably his only option.
I did want to show you guys really quick, like this
I love
is
you,
the
Bobby.
list agent.
I love you.
If you click on the list agent's name right here, you can see that.
Yeah, you can find it right.
Okay, but
Yeah.
that's
broker.
not the
That's- no,
number,
That's the brokers. That
So
would
what
be
I'm
Rich's
saying
number.
is on page
And it
10.
opens the next.
And then I click the broker.
You have to
number
click
and
the
it'll be
broker and then it
We-
opens the
we-
next page.
We need to find the.
So click it again
Well,
then.
look at it again then.
And it takes.
It's
us to
probably
his part.
behind.
This isn't it.
It takes us to his part.
No, that's all I got. That was it.
So, because the company has a different license than the
The other
broker.
thing you
And I
need
know
to-
that because every time they write my information there, Carl tells me every time, like,
It's
Yeah.
wrong.
wrong.
So I just started doing that.
I
I mean,
think
I'll
you can
leave that one
find out
blank, but
where
I
to
just started
change that,
doing
or
it.
just do a offer sheet, because I think me and Diana had the same thing, and either Rebecca figured it out, or maybe it was our.
So if you
No, she
guys,
probably went to Trek.
if you guys
Maybe
go
that's
to
it.
Shrek.texas.gov, you just type in like.
So put in my name, put in anybody's.
I guess I feel like for those of us that work both
Keep
buyers and
there.
sellers.
Right there.
I think for
That's
the
it.
time it takes you to create an offer instruction sheet, that's a really nice thing to do for the 20 agents that are trying to make an offer. if they have
100%,
their
so you get a copy of these.
It took you 15 minutes to create that sheet.
Yes.
But think how much time it takes a buyer's agent to look all of that crap up on
Who
your
doesn't wanna
title
do it?
company,
Copy
on
mine.
your broker, on
You
your
wanna do it? Copy
everything.
mine.
When you've written 6 offers that day, it's
Oh my
exhausting
God.
for a buyer's agent.
Well, it is exhausting to be a buyer's agent sometimes, but I still do it.
I know, but it
Yeah.
only took 15 minutes as a listing agent. so
But if
like,
it's not
give
in
them
there,
that something.
But if
No,
it's
I'm
not in
saying
there,
On
you know.
your offer sheet, like create one as a listing agent to be courteous to the buyer's agents. that
But
are
you're talking to
butts.
thousands of agents that aren't here listening to you right now.
I know.
I
There's
think we're good
four
ones.
on here.
We're good ones.
I know, right?
We have.
We're willing to
offers.
learn and we're willing to grow and we're willing to change and we're
I
willing
think
to
the
try.
frustrating
to
part to me is that, like, people don't even, they just put the, because a lot of them have teams or they have.
Yeah.
And they'll put offer instructions and it's like, oh no, we're not using that title company. Damn,
Oh,
why did you put
yeah.
that right in there? Like, that's dumb. Anyway, that's something else.
I mean, sometimes it's just part of our job, right? It's a part of our job, like going and showing homes that you don't wanna show at the time you don't wanna show, it's part of our job. Putting in an offer that you know ain't gonna get accepted is part of our job at the end of the day.
And
One
so-
thing I add though a lot, which I think is really helpful, upgrades and features on every house. Because there are all these things that people will contact you about, asking questions about the HVAC or, I mean, not the roof, I mean, because that's to be in the disclosure, but sometimes there's just so many things. So if you can like have as much information available for other people, that's really helpful.
And,
And I have my sellers do that.
yeah,
Is it, what do you call it? Like an
Yeah, I
love-
just say like,
an
write
love
everything
meeting?
you can possibly think about your house, positive, anything you've done, any repairs, anything that will be helpful. And some of them have really long lists and they're
I was
awesome.
gonna say. I should
And that
have
helps for
today,
an
but-
appraisal. If you put that in Associated Docs, the appraiser's gonna see that too.
well, and so just a couple things. One thing is Christy has a really good, great book that she
Yeah,
creates.
which I
for
just-
us.
Oh, thank you.
She
It is.
finds it, she leaves it at the house, it has the upgrades on it, and hey, maybe it's there when someone's like walking around doing the appraisal, right? So like that's there too. And then I just wanted to say, you have a spreadsheet, an Excel spreadsheet that says like offer one and it will say
I
option
haven't
three and
used
all
it in a
that.
while and
I
yeah,
think-
but-
I think when we started this, like a while ago, we started sharing stuff like that, so we can, if I can't find hers, I'll share one. There are some really great title apps, I think Chicago and
First American has one that's a
Independence.
multiple offer.
Yeah. that will do multiple offers and they will allow you to put those important details in it, so you can present them in a nice way, so make sure you're working with those type of people. And then I was just gonna say, if you guys have anything else, like maybe just a minute, just really quick, so that we can, have happy hour, because I'm sure we could talk about this forever. But, and you guys can talk about it more at happy hour, but I just wanted to kind of bring it to a wrap in case anyone else needs to leave. So, and if anyone on here, Diana, Rosa, Jesse, Myra, if you guys have one last question, type. So anyone want to wrap?
I had something I wanted to bring up. We kind of talked about when we were writing offers, because I didn't really get to the points of some of the things I put in an offer. But the closing date, I always ask the listing agent, what does the seller want for a closing date? And then I've pretty much gotten to the point now where my buyers are offering free lease backs to the seller. I mean, because the buyer's payment's not gonna be
Great
done,
incentive.
not gonna be due for 30 to 45 days after closing. So if the seller needs a couple of weeks to stay in the house for free, that can really make a huge difference. And so I've been making that a part of it.
Even if you don't actually attach that lease back, you can make it in your list
Yes.
of offer highlights. And my buyer is willing.
Flexible on closing and can offer a lease back
willing to offer lease back. Now,
for free.
I try
I
to
like
be-
free, but
I try to be less, oh, let's stretch the closing date out. I try to not do that
Right.
because the longer you make your closing windows, the worse things happen.
more things.
Go ahead and get it closed and do the lease back instead, because it's closed, money's in the bank, everybody's where they should be, and then do the lease
Can
back.
you tell me about the lease back? I have heard, some people say it's a bad idea just because you don't know how they're gonna leave the house. I've done lease
Well,
backs,
and normal,
but
If it's not
In
perfect,
the state of
things could
California, it's an
happen.
automatic 2 weeks, so it's not like it's a novel idea. In all of California, you automatically get 2 weeks. In a lot of states, you automatically get 10 days. Oh, yeah.
if you
It's
have.
automatic.
But-
Oh,
yeah.
It's not like you dreamed it up.
Don't let them move
Maybe-
in before they close. Don't ever let them move in before, but after lease, I mean, now you have to, I think.
As a buyer's agent, this is what happened to me one time. I had a buyer who closed on the house, the seller stayed in it for 2 weeks afterwards. There was a $3,000 refrigerator. It was a big house, right? And it was one of those Gen Air freaking, I don't know what it was. Anyway, it was expensive. Well, it was gone. We did the walk and we closed. 2 weeks later, when the seller moved, it was gone, right? And that's why I say those lease back, I hate it because it always creates, it can create a problem. In today's market,
So what do you
you
do?
better be willing to do it.
But what do you
as a
do?
buyer.
Was the fridge supposed to stay?
Yes.
And what do you do in that case?
We have to take, the listing agent had to pay my buyer. But the refrigerator was gone.
But, I mean, how do you, what if the listing agent says, no, I'm not doing it?
It went to the broker.
Sue the seller.
Because my guys were willing to sue.
Okay,
It was $3,000.
So it is okay for you to write in a regular deposit.
I do
as
write
if
in a
it were
deposit.
Any other lease. You
I do
can
write a deposit.
I do a deposit and I do if they go over the 2 weeks.
And I put, and
No,
I'll
I
put a more
think that's
substantial
still
rent,
like
yeah.
$250 a day.
Yeah,
or
make it really
something, 'cause
hard.
Nobody wants holdover.
Okay, but, yeah, so then if they mess up the house or something in those 2
I
weeks
mean,
or whatever.
it's like
you
renting a
sue,
house,
that's
you
what you
still
do.
take, it's like.
There's a
you own
risk.
house and you rent a house
$1,000,
out.
$2,000.
There's a risk.
And I think you can evaluate with the house.
That's true,
See how people. do it.
True.
right. If they have like 5 dogs and
Right.
14
You know,
kids, I probably wouldn't do
bigger
that.
risk. If the house is pristine and they take care
They
of
take
it,
care
stop taking care of it.
True.
In general, I mean, it's not a guarantee. We feel a lot better about it, at least back than we would think.
That's true.
Did you have anything final you want to say, Christine?
Nope, I think.
Okay. Well, thank you guys. I'm gonna wrap this up and after we can continue this conversation.
Can I say one last thing?
Yes.
When you have questions,
Yeah.
go to Rich or go to one of us. Don't be one of those idiots out there on like Broker Underground or
Yes.
whatever that's asking questions out there that you shouldn't be talking to your broker about or going to classes for. It's demeaning to all of us. And,
And they will
That's
pay your
why-
mortgage,
oh,
because I do that.
It's
also.
just- it's just wrong on so many levels. Don't ask questions on those public forums that you should be asking your broker, especially on specific deals.
Those
It is
forums
just inappropriate.
are really great for certain things, such as who is the plumber you've been using lately? Kind of like our group, right? So again, you get more people. What marketing, has anyone used this marketing program, right? But when I see someone go on a group like I did last week, and it made me, I was like, thank God that's not my agent, and say, hey, I'm working this type of house and I have no idea what to price it. Can someone help me with the CMA? And I'm like, why do you not have someone in your brokerage? That like your job as a real estate agent is to do the CMA. If you don't know how to do it, you should be having a broker or someone help
Within
you
your
with it the first
brokerage.
few times.
And that's,
If that helps, right?
that's a simple thing, what I see out there a lot of times are things that are like freaking, you
Yeah.
help you use your license.
Yeah.
That too.
And that's worse.
Check
than
yourself
CMA.
Before you go.
Yeah.
Posted a picture of a guy's prosthetic in the house. Remember that?
Oh.
Yeah.
Do not
Look what I
take
saw in the house I was
pictures
showing.
in the house to show